Hello everybody and good day to all of you grade 8 learners. Today is once again another opportunity for you to learn about the subject English. I am your instructor for today, Mr. Danmark Borja, but you can call me Sir DM. I am from Northeastern Mindanao State University, Tandag Campus, and I will be guiding you throughout this discussion or today's discussion. The discussion for today will serve as an introduction to one of the most well-known and important lessons to be discussed in the subject English. So I hope that you are all ready and well rested, for we are about to begin. The objectives of the lesson are as follows. At the end of the lesson, the students are expected to do the following. Students will be able to identify the verb and tense in a sentence, and students will be able to write a sentence using the past, present, or future tense. Is all about verb tenses. Verbs come in three tenses: the past, present, and future. Verbs are words that we use to refer to actions or states of being or being. In English, verbs can be used in a variety of verb tenses. The tense of a verb, generally speaking, tells us what period in time an action or state is happening. This means, class, that verb tenses are what tells us when an action is happening, either it is in the past, the present, or the future. Verb tenses refers to when the action in a sentence takes place, whether it happened in the past, is happening in the present, or will happen in the future. Most verbs take a past, present, or future tense. Verb tenses are clues to help us figure out when the action in a sentence is happening. So once again, verb tenses are our clues or cues to identify when or what particular time a sentence or an action is happening. So what is verb tense? Imagine that you are very hungry. You had pizza for dinner yesterday. This is in a past tense because of the word yesterday, and had. It denotes that the action is already done or finished earlier in the past. But pizza for lunch today sounds great. This is in the present because of the word today, which means that the action is happening today, right now, or in the present time. So you and your friend decide that you will buy a pizza for lunch. This is in the future tense because of the word for lunch, which means that you will not buy pizza earlier or right now, but rather for lunch or later in the future. Past, present, and future are the three main verb tenses in English. Tenses help us understand when the action is happening. Examples of verb tenses in English. I studied English, past simple. I study English, present simple. I will study English, future simple. As you can see in this presentation, class, there are a lot of much more complex and longer types of verb tenses in English. However, for our discussion today, we will simply focus on the past simple, present simple, and future simple verb tenses as a form of introduction in this course. We will tackle those much more complex types of verb tenses later on in our future classes. We will simply try to understand these three main or simple verb tenses as our introduction to the lesson. Let us start our discussion with the simple past tense. Now, what is the simple past tense? The simple past, past simple, or past indefinite, sometimes called the preterite, is the basic form of the past tense in modern English. Unlike the past continuous tense, which is used to talk about past events that happened over a period of time, the simple past tense emphasizes that the action is finished. So basically, class, the simple past tense helps us or tells us that the action is already finished or done. It tells us that the situation in a sentence or in a particular sentence is already done. It is not happening right now, it is not going to happen later on, but it's rather finished. Examples of past tense in a sentence are: he met his wife 6 years ago. He didn't meet her. Did he feel sad yesterday? I graduated from the university. I didn't graduate. Did they watch a movie? They watched a movie yesterday. They didn't watch a movie. Did he meet her? What can you observe from the sentences I've read, class? Yes. The sentences I've read indicate that the action or the situation presented in the sentence are already finished or done. The event or the action has already happened, or the action itself is finished. This again, class, simple past tense, please remember, indicates or tells us that the action is finished. Next, we will be tackling the simple present tense. The simple present, present simple, or present indefinite is one of the verb forms associated with the present tense in modern English. The simple present tense is when you use a verb to tell about things that happen continually in the present, like every day, every week, or every month. We use the simple present tense for anything that happens often or is factual. This means, class, that in comparison to the past simple, the simple present means that the action or occurrence in a sentence is currently happening in the present, hence the name present tense. It is currently happening right now. It is a situation or an action that is happening almost occasionally, like every day, every week, or every month. As long as it is continuously happening, it can be classified as part of the simple present. Here are examples. His wife sets the table. I like fruits. His wife doesn't set the table. I don't like fruits. Does his wife set the table? Do I like fruits? Sorry. So, what can you observe from the sentences, class? Yes, the sentences in comparison to the sentences I've read in the past simple indicate that the action is currently happening or is still happening today or right now. An example would be I like fruits. I like fruits. You cannot see a word that indicates that it is happening right now, or you cannot see a word that is obviously telling us that the action is currently happening. However, since it is a factual sentence, because I like fruits, it doesn't matter if there is no indication. Since it is factual, it can be classified as simple present. Because if someone likes fruit, it doesn't mean that it can only be that he liked fruit in the past or he can only like fruit in the future, but rather, as long as he likes fruit now, it is still classified or is still part of the present, since even if he started liking fruit in the past, as long as he still likes fruit now, it is still counted as, or can still be classified as a present, as part of the present tense. Do you understand, class? Okay. Lastly, we will be tackling the simple future tense. So what is the simple future? In grammar, a future tense is a verb form that generally marks the event described by the verb as not having happened yet, but expected to happen in the future. This means, class, that unlike or in comparison to the past and the present, the future tense is something that is still expected to happen. If the past already happened and the present is currently happening, the future is still something that we are expecting or we are sometimes thinking of happening, or sometimes we believe to happen. That is the future tense, hence the name or the term future. So please remember that, and since it's already self-explanatory, just remember that future tense, the action or the occurrence or the situation in the sentence hasn't happened yet. So here are example of future simple tense in sentences. So, I shall play, you will play, we shall play. I shall not play, you won't play, we shall not play. Shall I play? Will you play? Will we play? So what can you understand from what I've read, the sentences I've read? Yes, class, in comparison to the past and present tenses, the sentences in the future simple indicates that the action is still not happening, as I've said. For example, the sentence I shall play. It does not indicate that playing, which is the action, is already finished or has happened, or it does not indicate that I, the subject, is currently playing, but rather I am thinking, or I believe, or I expect that I shall play. Or in the negative, if we compare it to the negative, I expect that I shall not play. Do you understand, class? Now we proceed to the generalization and application. So again, as a recap, guys, or class, sorry. As a recap, the simple past indicates whether the sentence or the action has already happened or is finished. Simple present indicates that or tells us that the action or the situation is still happening or still occurring. While the simple future indicates or tells us that the action or the situation in the sentence will happen or is expected to happen. So, hopefully you understood that, because I will now be asking you or testing your understanding of the lesson. To me testing your understanding. Identify and label the verb and its tense. However, I've already given you the examples of the three tenses. Examples of past, example of present, and example of future. You are now to identify and label the verb which indicates its tense. So, let's start with example of past. I went to the supermarket yesterday. What is the verb do you think, class? Which of the words in the sentence do you think, class, is the verb that indicates its tense of the past? Correct. The verb here is the word when. The word when is an action word that is in its past participle form, meaning that it already occurred or the action already happened or is already finished. Next, we have example of present. I am stressed by my modules. Which is the verb, class? Yes, the verb is stressed. Although, take note that although the word or the verb stressed has an ed which indicates it is in past, the sentence as a whole says that I am stressed by my modules, meaning it means that I am not stressed by my modules in the past, but rather I am still stressed by my modules today or in the present, which makes it an example of a present tense. Lastly, example of a future. I am going to be a teacher. Which is the verb? Correct. The verb going is the indicator of when the action is going to occur. I'm going to be a teacher indicates that the action of going to be a teacher is still expected to happen in the future. It hasn't happened already, it's not happening right now, but it is expected to happen. Proceed to your evaluation. So, please be ready because I will be choosing some of you to answer the 5 questions for my evaluation. So, let's go with Miss Bagasbas. Please answer the first question. I take a shower last night before going to bed. You're going to take those verbs in the parentheses and change it to make the appropriate verb to be used in the sentence. Correct, Miss Bagasbas. The appropriate verb to be used is took. I took a shower last night before going to bed. And what is the tense? Yes, this is in past tense because the verb is in its past participle form. The past participle form of take is of course took. Number 2, Mr. Molinar, can you please answer? Very good answer, Mr. Molinar. The correct answer is practice is to be changed to is practicing. The recital is going to be great. The band is practicing some new songs right now because this sentence is in a tense of present tense. Correct. This is in a present tense. Number 3, Miss Orkia, can you please answer? Your answer is fairly close, Miss Orkia, but the most appropriate answer would be starts. A new season of that series you like starts next week. However, your answer of will start next week can also be accepted as long as it is appropriate. Yeah, and this sentence is an example of a future tense. Thank you. Because of the term next week. Number 4. Mr. Ricamara, can you please answer? Correct, Mr. Ricamara. The answer, the appropriate verb to be used is you will win. You will win the race on Saturday. Or it can also be you are going to win the race on Saturday. And this sentence is an example of a future tense. Correct. Lastly, number 5. How about you again, Miss Bagasbas, since you are raising your hand? Correct, Miss Bagasbas. The appropriate verb to be used to change write is to writing. I am writing a letter today because this sentence is in the present tense. So, it seems to me that you learned something from my lesson, and I hope that you learned a lot more. Thank you for answering, class. That ends my discussion, class, and thank you for listening. Please check your Google Classroom later on because I will be sending an activity for you to perform. Also, I will be sending this presentation so that you can download it and reread it for your reference. So once again, thank you for listening, and I hope that you learned something from my discussion. And see you next week. Thank you. Goodbye, class.